Hi guys, welcome to the channel. Today is a very important topic to me, and that is, does your bird or parrot really like that? It's all about examples of misreading parrot body language and just misunderstanding what they're trying to tell us when they're put in certain situations. I'm going to go through lots of different examples. I'm going to show some examples of their behaviour. You can see a little bit of it right now actually, of this overstimulation excitement, because these guys have just come out, and just talk you through some of the situations where I feel parrots are being put under stress, or we're just misreading what they're trying to tell us. Now, most of the time when we're dealing with misunderstanding parrot behaviour, it comes down to something called anthropomorphism, and that basically means putting our feelings and values onto our parrots. And it's very easily done because we will see things from our frame of reference, but I've covered that in another video, so if you want to sort of see more about that, you can watch there. Let's start off with probably one of the most common ones, and that is when your parrot is talking, vocalising lots, and making lots of repeated motions. A lot of people assume when a parrot talks, it is something really, really positive. And sometimes it can be, but a lot of the time when a parrot's talking, it can be a sign of stress behaviour, especially if you see it in a context of other behaviours. If your parrot's pacing back and forth and repeatedly vocalising the same thing over and over again, it is often a sign of stress or overstimulation. And it's a sort of pitfall many of us parrot owners fall into lots and lots, don't we? You most commonly see this kind of behaviour in rescues who have previously learned to talk. They come into a stressful new environment. People assume it's good, but then get bitten because they're misreading their parrot's body language. This ties on to my next point, which is loud noises, sudden movements, lots of attention. Sometimes that can often set off our parrots and make them quite overstimulated or stressed. And there's a fine line between overstimulated and stressed with parrots. Overstimulated in some contexts can be okay, although generally if you want your interactions and you're trained to be calm and be productive, you need to damp that down a little bit. But when you go into stress behaviours, then you're going to dangerous territory of breaking trust and your parrot not really getting on very well with you at all. I had this example crop up on Discord recently as well, and that is roughhousing with your parrot. Some parrots, especially larger ones, will enjoy a little bit of roughhousing, provided it's not too rough, but for many it can be overstimulating, and what we see as them enjoying it is actually them getting stressed of it and trying to tell us they want to stop or just to get us to back off. You can see it sometimes with Olive a little bit. She likes to be petted, sometimes vigorously, same with Chip, but if I go too far or if I misread what they actually want from me, they may lash out at me, and that's a very common cause of people getting bitten. And if Olive or Chip bites me, it's going to hurt, it may bleed, but if your macaw does it, you're going to be in a much bigger world of trouble from it as well. So be careful when you're playing with your bird. Make sure you're watching how they're actually behaving. Are they stereotyping? Are they vocalising repeatedly? Are they getting overstimulated in a hormonal way? And make sure you're doing it appropriately, or sort of drawing a very strict line of where you should stop and not misbehave. Now, while we're on the sort of aggressive and overstimulated section of this, let's talk about interactions with mirrors, reflecting objects or videos. A lot of the time people will assume because their parrot vocalises lots or interacts with these repeatedly that it's a good thing and that they're enjoying it. However, mirrors can be a massive sign of stress, massive cause of stress or a cause of hormonal behaviour, because your parrot's interacting with something, it's interacting in exactly the same overstimulated way back to them, or it's interacting in a hormonal way, or the parrot's not getting the sort of, the reactions it wants from the mirror. It's always the same, and that stresses it out too. Now, I feel that mirrors actually do have a place in our parrots' lives, but I feel it should never be in the cage. So we'll talk about that in another separate video about mirrors. But yeah, mirrors can be something that causes a lot of stress and overstimulation, and we often see them as something positive, when in reality they're really not. Now let's move on to the learned helplessness section of does your parrot really like this? And that's where parrots are just tolerating behaviour or literally just accepting it and shutting down because they have no choice on that. I did a video dedicated to learned helplessness, which covers one of the examples in this video if you want to explore that a lot more. But yeah, so one of the things I see constantly is people giving their parrots inappropriate showers and then saying, oh wow, he loves it because he's just staying under it. Your parrot's just shutting down because it doesn't know what to do, it's just tolerating it. Parrots love bathing, but when a parrot's enjoying bathing, they should be active. You will see them like spreading their wings, you'll see them fluffing up, vocalising in an excited way, and generally enjoying themselves. If they're sat there just really still, there's loads of water coming down on them and they're just literally looking sad, they're not enjoying it, they're tolerating it. So there's also a health risk there. So I'd strongly recommend providing your birds washes in other ways. There's loads of responsible ways people provide washes in the showers, like a shower perch off to the side so the water's not directly on them, little dishes, all sorts of fun ways you can bathe your bird. But don't assume that just because a bird's sitting still under the shower, it's loving it. Another good example of learned helplessness is the Birdie burrito. Some birds may enjoy it being loosely wrapped, although I really feel it's not very good for them. It can lead to hormones and other issues, but that's a different thing. Oh, and also if you're doing the Birdie burrito and you're doing it tight, they might be able to breathe. Just because their head's out, like with us, doesn't mean that they can breathe, because they breathe in a very different way to us. They need to be able to properly expand and contract their lungs and their whole body. So be very careful if you're ever doing it, regardless of whether I say it's good or not. Just be very cautious with it. But anyway, a lot of birds will tolerate this and they'll just stay in there because they're trapped and they just can't do anything about it. We think they're enjoying it because they're calm, but in reality, they're not. They're just tolerating it, and it's learned helplessness a lot of the time, especially if it's done after they've been biting. Again, some birds will, the birds that do enjoy it often leads to hormone issues. It's just an area I prefer to avoid. If ever a bird's toweled, it should only be for a very specific reason, and it should be done in a very appropriate way. There are videos dedicated to teaching you how to do that. We may do one eventually as well, even though we try not to towel our birds ever, and just get everything to be done voluntarily with them. Leading on from this is grabbing, touching and petting all over. Let's start with grabbing. Now, a lot of birds will tolerate being grabbed. Pickles I have a very specific way of grabbing Pickles where she tolerates it, and that is where she sort of sits on my fingers in between, and I don't actually touch her back, so that avoids the whole issues of enclosing her or risking her health or stimulating her. I may actually do a video teaching how to do that with small birds, because I think it's the best way if you ever have to, and it just avoids all of the pitfalls. But if you're enclosing your bird fully, that can lead to overstimulation issues, or it can just lead to them just tolerating it. I just don't like grabbing at all. I know a lot of people are like, yeah, I grab my bird, they love it, they enjoy it. I don't think it's really worth it at all. That leads on to overstimulation through petting and touching. I've covered it so much, let's just briefly touch on it now. Bird may tolerate being touched. If it goes completely still, it doesn't show any sort of signs of fluffing up or relaxing, then it's just hating it. If it's fluffing up loads, it's probably just getting hormonal. It's all about reading the language. And I'm going to do a video on specifically the body language, but I need to film a lot of footage and get a lot of help with it from other people to show me their footage so I can collect it all. But that's for the future. For now, it's just this. And I'm sorry for rambling, but yes, inappropriate touching, grabbing, etc. It's just no good. It's no fun for your bird, and it can lead to all sorts of issues for you. So just to sort of summarise almost at the end of the video, like I like to do, when you're looking at your bird's interactions with you, just look at it, try and see it from their perspective. It's really important, because what we may assume is good and enjoyable from our perspective may not be good or enjoyable from our parrot's perspective. Just read their body language, watch loads of videos about their body language, but don't just watch it from one source, watch it from loads, because some of us may be wrong. We may not be reading that body language correctly. I know there's a lot of videos out there which aren't properly researched. I try to research mine, but I'm quite sure I've got a couple of things wrong in the past. So just make sure you research and you observe your bird, because they will tell you. You will learn what their tells are, you will learn what they enjoy and what they don't, and just try and take it from their perspective. That's all I want to try and get across with this video, and hopefully I did, and it helps you guys get on better with them. So Scampy is off playing with Charlie right now, so me and Pickles are just going to be cuddling while I do the outro. I hope you enjoyed this video. If there's any questions you have, please feel free to leave them in the comments as usual. I'm always happy to hear from you. But in the meantime, from me, a cuddly Pickles and a playful Scampy, take care and see you later.